Chapter 10. Mason? Or are you Mason? Wait, which one of you is Mason? In my line of work, I've been caught in many sticky situations before. Be it gangsters in an alley, a gunfight, or even a physical altercation with a serial terrorist. Don't ask. But somehow, being hooked up to multiple wires and still a little drugged up from the propofol took the cake. I twisted and fell off the bed and onto the floor with a thud. My knees screamed as the linoleum assaulted them. The wires attached to my hand ripped out, sending the machines into distress again. They blared like an alarm in my mind, and my hand throbbed with new cuts. "What are you doing?" I yelled, kicking my legs out. My bare toes connected against Mason's shins. He hissed and growled. "People are gonna hear you, Mason. They're gonna come arrest you," I tried. I rolled over into a standing position and held my hands up. I was hoping to distract him enough to buy Miller enough time to arrive. The hospital staff had taken my gun when I was taken, and the bag that Miller had dropped off when they took me in had been stripped of all my weapons as well, including the small pocket knife for dire emergencies. But, to be fair, I'd say this is a cause for a dire emergency, wouldn't you?
Ha!
He laughed obnoxiously.
You think I'd come in here with the intent to rid you without several backup plans?
He taunted. I shrugged. "Yeah, I do," I taunted back. Mason's eyes narrowed. "Talk me through it then," I nodded, jutting my chin out. That, I knew, riled him up. It used to, back when we used to date. "Go on, Einstein. Talk me through it," I yelled. Mason picked up the glass of water from my side table and hurled it at my head. I ducked with a gasp, to be met instantly by Mason, reeling his fist back and into the side of my head. Stars burst into my eyes. I blinked heavily and kicked my leg out. Mason fell with a groan but grabbed my ankle and yanked it. I hit the ground hard. I kicked my legs out again and desperately kicked Mason in the face. He grabbed my ankle and twisted it. I screamed and kicked upwards. If the following crunch sound his nose made was anything to go by, I'd broken his nose. I kicked myself backwards. Mason writhed on the floor, groaning.
"Shit, I don't remember you taking goddamn kickboxing lessons,"
he ground out. I huffed and panted, the fight using most of my energy. "Yeah, well, I wanted to protect myself in case you ever came back." I sucked in a breath and looked out of the window. Not a single person paid attention. "How many of these," I swallowed and my head pounded, "people are in your little gang?" I continued sneering. Mason pushed himself into a sitting position and I grabbed a shard of glass from the smashed cup. "You stay the fuck where you are or I'll fucking stab you," I warned, brandishing the shard. Blood dripped from my hand as it split open, and my God did it hurt. I wanted to cry and get it bandaged up, and it was taking all my strength not to cry. And this is coming from someone who'd gone through childbirth. He sat up with a groan.
"You wouldn't dare,"
he practically whispered. "Oh yeah?" I asked, wincing. "Remember when you said that the other night? You wouldn't dare shoot me? Remember that?" I mimicked. "Come to think of that. How are you walking? I kneecapped you." I voiced my thoughts aloud. Mason laughed quietly. I'd heard him laugh several times before. I'd heard him chuckle several times before. But that laugh? I'd only ever heard him laugh like that once or twice before, and it scared me.
"Did you though, Astrid?" "Did you?"
I frowned. I'd say so, yeah. Were you present then, or..." I trailed off sarcastically. Mason grunted as he stood up. Even from a few feet away, he still managed to intimidate me. And I hated nothing more than to be intimidated.
"In my line of work..."
"You mean drug dealing, murder and thievery?" I interrupted, glaring. Mason glared back, but continued speaking as if I hadn't interrupted.
"In my line of work..."
He paused and took a step forward. I waved the shard of glass threateningly. "You stay where you are, I'm warning you," I yelled. He put his hands up and stopped moving.
"You learn to protect yourself and have contingency plans,"
he continued.
Such as
He grinned.
bulletproof knee pads.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that. I wore one a lot when I was at work. Usually a bulletproof vest covered my chest and stomach. While bulletproof stuff did often protect the bullet from breaking the skin, it sure as hell didn't stop the bruising or pain from the force. Take it from someone who knows. And I know. In movies and stuff, you never see the bad guys wearing bulletproof protection, so it didn't occur to me that bad people would wear them either. Sue me. Instead of showing my slight worry, I decided to try a different route. But you bled, and I messed up your face as well. What did you do? Have a ketchup packet behind the pad? Did you wear makeup? I jibed. Mason shrugged.
No. Somehow my knee did split open enough to bleed. Thank you very much.
He wrinkled his nose.
And I did wear makeup. Some plastic covers and foundation to cover the bruising.
He snarled.
You know, to hide the swollen eyes and fractured nose you lovingly gave me.
A burst of pride shot through my body at the thought of him acknowledging that I'd done enough damage for him to need, like, a makeup artist to make him look less broken. I smirked. Suddenly there was some movement in the hallway, slow and subtle enough for me to only catch it in the corner of my eye. Miller had arrived to help me. I turned back to Mason, holding the glass shard parallel to my body. "Ah, did the baby need a makeup artist to hide that his ass was kicked by a girl?" I mocked. Mason sucked his teeth, tilting his head to gauge how quickly I could stab him. His eyes narrowed.
Maybe, but you're not just an ordinary girl, are you?
I glared.
No. You had some kind of lesson. Lessons they don't teach in the FBI.
My heart twisted slightly, though I didn't know why. And how do you know what the regime is in the FBI? Mason smirked.
Because I know you're...
He dropped to the ground, jolting and jumping. I jumped, looking up, preparing myself in case the assailant turned on me. But then the shock retreated and a cool sense of reassurance flooded my veins. I sighed heavily, forcing a smile onto my face. A taser? Really? I teased as I stepped over Mason's convulsing form. Miller didn't speak. I frowned. Usually he had some kind of rebuttal for me. "Miller? Anyone home?" I sang. Miller's hood stayed up, hiding his face. Wait. Miller's hood. Miller didn't own a hoodie. "Who are you? Miller doesn't own a hoodie." I held the glass shard tightly. I didn't drop it when Mason fell to the ground, silently screaming. I couldn't. It was like the thing was rooted into my palm. To be honest, and at this point, it probably was. I'd held it tight enough for long enough. "Tell me who you are, or so help me God," I yelled, waving the glass shard. "I can throw. I passed GCSE PE with an A. Only because I had MI5 and FBI fitness training packs sent to me, but we'll ignore that bit."
"What's a GCSE?
The not Miller asked. I yelled in frustration. "Why the hell are you here?" Not Miller pulled his hood back to reveal none other than my bothersome, useless, irrelevant brother.
I believe the words are, 'Thank you, Jack, you just saved my life. In which case, you're welcome, Astrid.'"
I scoffed. "Does your ego truly know no bounds?" I snapped.
"You're bleeding,"
was Jack's answer. I looked down at my hand, which now had a deep gash in it. It oozed blood slowly, almost pumping out of the cut. I dropped the glass shard and limped over to the small bathroom attached to my room. I grabbed some toilet roll and rolled it up into 2 balls. One I put into my mouth, and the other I braced against my hand. With a rush of adrenaline, I pressed the wad of tissue into the wound and bit down. My hand ignited in pain, and my head spun.
"Astrid, I think you need a doctor or someone. That doesn't look good."
I sighed into the tissue, about to lose my rag. "Jack, you do not get to come into my life after nearly 3 years of absence and..." I held up my fingers and counted as I shouted at him. 1, change your citizenship. 2, not answer any of my calls. And 3, abandon me and Mum and then try to play doting big brother. I did try to stay calm, honestly. "I'm not interested. You had that chance multiple times. So many that I've lost count," I seethed. Jack swallowed and opened his mouth. I held a hand up. No, I don't want to hear it. You can just... I broke my sentence off with a sigh and sat on the hospital bed.
I was gonna say that without me, he'd still be attacking you.
My eyes widened. For real? Jack, are you for real? Like, genuinely? I asked. Jack looked away. With a scoff, I stood up and walked over to him. Mason's convulsions had drawn to a close, and he was beginning to wake with small groans. I kicked him in the balls as I strode past, his form shrivelling up into a ball. I stalked up to Jack, forcing him to step back until he was against the wall. I jabbed my pointer finger into his chest. Are done, I spat. I cast one final look at Mason's whimpering form on the floor and stormed out of the hospital room, slamming the door behind me as I left. The hospital made me fill out a stupid statement about what happened and attempted to call the police over it, but thankfully actual Miller arrived by that point and stepped in as acting law enforcement, which thankfully deterred the hospital from pursuing it. I lost count of the forms after the 5th one. If I were in a situation like that where an armed criminal attacks a member of law enforcement, I would have to fill out both a witness statement and some other statement I can't remember. I don't know, okay, my head still hurts. But in any case, after I'd done that and then signed my discharge forms, they finally let me go with Miller. It was starting to get darker when we finally left.
I'm glad to see you're in good health, Clarke, but shouldn't you still be in bed?
Miller helped me out of the mandatory wheelchair and into his car. Probably, I sighed. But Jack showed up, and if I didn't leave, I was going to batter him. I snapped the paper hospital band off my wrist and dropped it into the cup holder to my left. American cars unnerved me. Why was the driver on the left side of the car and not the right? It didn't make any sense, no matter what angle or perspective I tried to look at it from.
Wait, I thought it was just Mason.
Miller asked as he slid into the driver's seat. Nope, I said, popping the pea. Jack was the one that tased him. I shifted in my seat, sighing slightly.
Why didn't you grab him then?
Miller exclaimed as he turned the engine on. I dropped my head against the window, the coldness of which helping my headache immensely. Because I'd have killed him if I stayed in there any longer, that's why. I paused. You forget I just had to deal with Mason, so I wasn't exactly in the right state of mind to deal with him again. Miller sighed but didn't say anything else for a while. The sound of the car's engine humming almost put me to sleep if it weren't for Miller breaking his silence about 5 minutes later.
How'd you know it wasn't me?
He asked, turning down a side road. Well, for one, Mason was tased, and I don't think you'd like your taser in favour of your gun, I started. Miller nodded.
Fair.
I smiled a little as I turned to face him. And second, Jack was wearing a hoodie, and I know that you think they are, I cleared my throat, undignified. I mimicked his voice. Miller rolled his eyes. Miller insisted that I have a rest once we got home. He blocked my door shut with a fucking chair. To please his lordship, I napped like a little girl after a long day at nursery. As much as I hated it and I'd rather poke my eyes out with shitty sticks, I did feel better after the rest. However, Miller wasn't satisfied with the duration of his fucking mothering. Miller, seriously, I'm fine. Leave me alone. I slept for like 5 hours, I groaned.
You slept for 4, actually, but I'm your boss, so shut up and sit down.
God, if I wanted to be mothered, I'd ring my actual mother, I snapped. Miller grunted and walked over to the kitchen. He pottered around in there for a while, leaving me to my own devices. Literally. I turned on my phone and I swear to you, it buzzed non-stop for a good 6 seconds. What the hell? I mumbled to myself. I entered my PIN and went to my home screen. I shit you not, most of my messaging apps had at least 10 notifications or more. Facebook Messenger, 5 missed calls, 10 new messages. Instagram, 7 new messages. Phone, 15 missed calls, 15 voicemails. Messaging, 20 unread messages. Jesus, do people think I died or something? I asked out loud.
Honestly, probably.
I frowned and turned towards the kitchenette. And why would that be? I shouted through.
Well, I had to tell people you'd been rushed in, didn't I?
I groaned. Oh, Miller. My mum's going to be having a flid thinking I've dropped dead or something. I rubbed my eyes and sighed.
I mean, at one point you did. I couldn't say just nothing. Imagine what she would have said if you had died.
That gave me pause. Wait, what? I lowered my phone. Miller walked in, drying his hands on a blue-checkered tea towel.
You flatlined twice.
My brain stopped. I died? What happened, Miller? I went to bed fine. Miller sighed and sat down on the chair opposite.
Well, you went to bed and I went for a shower. I was washing my hair when I heard a huge bang. I thought someone had broken in, or maybe you'd gotten up and dropped or knocked something over.
He paused and took a sip of his drink.
But when I went into your room, you were seizing on the floor. I assumed you knocked your clock off when you fell, but other than that, I don't know. I dialed 911 and told them what was happening. Then the paramedics came and took over.
I swallowed. Did they ever find out the reason why I seized? I asked, half wanting the answer, half not wanting it. Miller shrugged slightly.
They said until further testing could be done, it could have been anything from a high fever to an underlying condition nobody knew about.
I frowned. I don't think I had a fever. I might have had a small headache from my earlier dealings with Mason and Jack, but surely that wouldn't cause it, I said, mostly to myself.
I think I've read somewhere that high levels of stress can cause seizures as well, so maybe that was it.
Miller stood back up with his now empty cup and wandered to the kitchenette. It's got to have been because of Mason and Jack. For Christ's sake, I haven't seen Mason in close to 3.5 years. And Jack, God, he's put me through enough stress to turn a saint towards murder. I suppose it was plausible to have high stress levels from those interactions. I did kind of kill the floor when I cleaned it that night as well. My phone buzzed again, reminding me I needed to deal with it. I opened up my messenger to see who'd called and texted. Sabrina had messaged me all 10 times and rang twice. Nicola rang me 3 times. I opened Instagram as well, but only my aunt had messaged me on that once. The other 6 messages were irrelevant, from old college mates and the such. I dreaded opening my messaging and phone apps. I knew exactly who'd have called. 6 missed calls, Mum, 8:28 yesterday. 5 missed calls, Dad, 11:13 yesterday. 4 missed calls, Auntie, 12:03 yesterday. Missed call, withheld, 4:09 yesterday. Missed call, withheld, 9:06 today. 6 were from my mum, all roughly saying the same thing.
Astrid, call me back. I need to know you're okay. Please call me soon, or I'm gonna book a flight to Miami and see that you're okay myself. Call me back, please.
I felt very guilty about the stress my mum was probably under. I mean, she'd been told that her youngest daughter had been rushed into hospital because she was having a seizure and flatlined twice. As soon as I'd listened to the other messages and voicemails, I'd ring her first. My dad had left 5 voice messages, and my aunt left 1, both saying pretty much the same thing.
Astrid, your mom's in a real bad state, and we need to know you're okay.
Please call us back and tell us you're okay.
The guilt was crushing. It made my heart hurt. I had no idea what Miller told them, nor how they were taking it. Just before I rang them all, though, I briefly checked my messaging app. Mum, 4 unread messages. Dad, 4 unread messages. Sullen Simon, 1 unread message. Amy Wamey, 1 unread message. Thomas Satrain, 1 unread message. Unknown number, 2 unread messages. I frowned and opened the unknown number one. Any people I have regular contact with, I always put as a contact on my phone. Yesterday, 6:07 p.m.
Hey Danielle, Levi here. I overheard Jack crying about you, so you should shoot him a message. He might not make it obvious, but he loves you.
Yesterday, 6:10 p.m.
Oh, hope you're better, by the way.
Even though I'd only had very few interactions with Levi, 90% of those were either me chasing him or interviewing him to get him arrested, somehow these texts made him seem far more normal, less interstate criminal. It was nice. Before any of you ask, yes, I tried to trace the number. No, I couldn't. Levi must be using a burner phone. Maybe they're not as stupid as I thought. I picked up my water from the table on my right and took a massive gulp, prepping myself for the barrage of questions to hit my poor and still very tired brain. I was about to dial my mum when Miller walked out with the apartment phone.
Someone wants to speak to you. Says his name is Alex?
I made an O sound and did the grabby gesture with my hands. It's just my dad. I was going to ring him after Mum. Pass him here. Miller rolled his eyes fondly and passed the landline over. Hey, Dad, I greeted.
I am a dad, thank you for acknowledging that, Mum.
I froze.
It's a shame I never got to meet our daughter. But oh well. I'll find another woman worthy enough to have my children.
I felt my anger rise. How dare he even consider Emily as his child? He didn't even know she existed until I let that slip. What, and I cannot express this enough, the fuck do you want, Mason? I hissed down the line.
So, we're past the pleasantries then?
He sniped back. I said nothing.
Okay then.
He paused, and there was some rustling on the other end.
Astrid?
A very familiar voice spoke. Dad? I yelled back, my heart dropping.
Yeah, I'm with precious Datty.
How the hell did you get to my dad's that quickly, Mason? You're lying, I spat. It's at least 6 hours by plane. Mason laughed down the line.
Oh, Astrid, do you know what the time is?
I quickly flicked on my phone. Unlike you, I did graduate preschool, so yes, I can tell the time. Mason hummed.
Can you? Because if you could, you would realise that it has been just over 7 hours since our interaction.
I paused. Had it been 7 hours since then? There was a loud smack and the sound of my dad swearing. Mason, I swear to God, leave him alone, I hissed.
I'm going to give you 2 choices.
Mason's voice spoke louder on the phone, trying to drown out the sound of my father's swearing.
You'll come here, to me, at your dad's house, or he dies. We both know I have no qualms about getting rid of people.
I swallowed thickly but said nothing. I could almost see Mason's shark-like grin.
Seeing as I'm not completely unfair, you have 9 hours to get here. Or you come back to a dead body on the floor.
My body went cold. The flight alone was at least 6 hours. That's without the journey on either side and security at the airport.
Oh, and come alone. Your comrade, who answered cannot come. Just me and you, or he dies.
I still didn't say anything.
Seeing as you've suddenly turned mute, a very 180 from your usual personality, I must say, I will assume you will be here within 9 hours.
Cue the goddamn grin.
See you then, Astrid.
Mason disconnected the call and I sat in silence, calculating what needed to be done next. My first step was waiting until Miller would leave, for whatever reason. Rather fortuitously, Miller walked back in not too soon after the call had finished.
How was your dad?
He asked, standing by the door. I turned around with the best fake smile I could muster. Yeah, he's alright. A bit pissed off that my mum had picked him to be her anxious target while she waited for the news, but that's usually the case anyway, so... I rambled when I lied. Was that obvious? Miller hummed.
I'm going to run to the supermarket to get some groceries. Do you need anything?
He shrugged on his coat and laced up his brown boots. Groceries. What an odd word. We didn't refer to food as groceries back home in Britain. Well, some did, but not all. It was just referred to as shopping. I shook my head. No. Actually, could you grab some green top milk, some Rice Krispies and some hair bobbles? Miller frowned.
Hair bobbles?
I pointed to the pink bobble around my wrist. The things you tie your hair up with? Miller raised an eyebrow.
So, hair ties?
I rolled my eyes. Whatever they're called, those. I'm on my last one. Miller smirked slightly and left for the supermarket. I immediately opened Safari on my phone, searched for a local taxi company and booked one for the nearest airport that flew to San Francisco. Poor Miller was going to come back to an empty apartment. Mind you, he's FBI and is trained on tracking people down, so I don't think it'll take him long to work out that something is wrong and where I've gone. Time remaining. 8 hours, 30 minutes. The taxi ride, although only 30 minutes, felt like hours. Only 8.5 hours left. I didn't even listen to how much the fare was, I just tapped my credit card and left. I ran into the airport and to the nearest help desk. "I need the fastest flight you've got to San Francisco," I exclaimed. The lady raised her eyebrows and hesitated for a short moment before putting in the search query. Her typing sent me into an anxiety overdose.
"We have one that's boarding in 30 minutes, but I don't know if you'll make it through security that quick. Or you can wait an hour for the next one."
I paused. "If I don't go through security in enough time?" The lady shrugged slightly.
"I mean, you can pay to get bumped to the next one if there's space, but I don't know if there will be by that point."
I shook my head and brandished my card. "I'll go for the 1.5 hours, please." The lady sighed but didn't say anything. She began to type again and asked for my card. I handed it over and bit my nail in worry.
"Okie dokie, that's gone through okay. You'll make it if you run."
She smiled as she handed me my card back. I smiled back and darted off, hoping to make it through security before the plane left. Time remaining, 1 hour, 15 minutes. My plane landed at San Francisco Airport after just 7 hours in the air. Thankfully, before I left the apartment in Miami, I grabbed the emergency rucksack that I always left by my bed. You never know when work is going to need you to be up, out and ready quickly, so it was always best to have the bare necessities ready. There was a phone charger, a charging pack, lady things, those who get it get in, those who don't, a pair of knickers, trousers, bra, shirt and jumper, a piece of paper with some important info such as phone numbers, medical conditions, etc., and an emergency money supply. A debit card with £1,000 or $1,200 on it, and £500 or $600 in cash. The flight out had cost me a whopping $500, and the taxi fare was $20 as well. I'd gone from my dad's place to San Francisco Airport before, so I knew roughly how much it had cost, though to be fair, my dad usually took me or paid for my fare. And that'd bring my total up to $567. As the plane landed and we were allowed our mobile devices out again, my phone buzzed. Unknown number.
"Just over an hour left, Astrid. Time's running out."
I growled quietly. I was going to wring that son of a bitch's neck like a dishcloth. Thankfully, the line at security wasn't too long, as I didn't have to wait around at baggage control. God save backpacks. The guy at the front was super rude, though. I got to the front and handed my passport over, waiting with bated breath. He pushed his glasses up with one finger and sniffed as he looked through it.
"Name?"
he asked, not even looking up from the legal document. "Astrid Clarke." He sniffed again.
"Age and date of birth?"
I repressed an eye roll. 22 and 17th of May 1992, I replied curtly.
"And where?"
he monotonously asked. "What?" I voiced my thoughts aloud.
"Where were you born?"
he repeated in the same tone. I was going to knock him out, I swear. "San Francisco," I answered, trying my very best not to lose my patience.
"Mm-hmm. And reason for travel?"
"Work," I snapped. I hauled out my badge from my pocket and displayed it. The man almost went comically white.
"Oh, my apologies, Agent Clarke. You can go through."
He practically threw my passport back through the window as he lifted the barrier. I grabbed the first taxi outside and robotically gave him my dad's address. The ride from the airport to my dad's was just under 90 minutes, and that was without traffic. And I really, really hope there's no traffic. Time remaining, 30 minutes. There was traffic. Lots of traffic. But it was moving, so I suppose that was the start. I tried to distract myself by watching YouTube videos in my recommended section. And I'm ashamed to say it was mostly Vine videos and ASMR things. Don't judge me, they're satisfying to watch. Halfway through my 10th, 11th video, don't act like you haven't fallen into the doom scroll, a notification popped up. Unknown number.
30 minutes left, Astrid. Tick-tock.
To be honest, I had no idea what I was going to do once I got there. Surely Mason would still be weak from our interaction. In fact, how on earth was he healthy enough to pull this off? Well, I got my answer when the taxi driver pulled up to my dad's house 20 minutes after Mason's text.
"That'll be $50, ma'am."
I almost died at the price, but decided to worry about it another time. I tapped my card on the payment pad, and the second it beeped, I hauled my backpack and dashed out of the cab. The driver shot off somewhere, and I ran up to my dad's front door. I yanked it open, and it banged against the wall. "All right, Mason, I'm here, within the time. Let him go," I yelled. A few men in clothes made themselves known from the kitchen and living room area.
"Ah, my darling Astrid."
Mason crooned, stepping out of the hallway. His face wasn't bruised, or damaged, or cut. Let me guess, makeup again? To hide the fact that I beat your ass yesterday. Mason ignored me and pulled something out of his pocket. He pressed the button on a stopwatch and it beeped. He grinned at me, displaying the timer.
"Oh, you only had 10 minutes left. I didn't think you were gonna make it."
He laughed. A few of the others chuckled with him, but I focused my glare on him. "Where's my dad, Mason?" I asked, trying to keep my voice level. Mason cleared his throat and wiped some of the tears away from his eyes.
Oh, Alex. Yeah, he's fine."
I bit my lip, trying to keep my temper in check. I didn't ask if he was okay, I asked where he was. Mason raised his eyebrows.
"In the basement. But
He paused, pointing a finger in my direction.
you and I need to chat first."